Okay,
Oh,
now we're good.
ready?
Yep, we lost Christine's video.
Okay. The time is 1:31 PM, and I hereby call the March 10th of 2021 meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Before we begin, we have a few announcements. The March 10th meeting is being held in person in the fourth floor council chambers of the County City Building with Zoom video and phone teleconferencing options available via links and phone information posted on our website, sjcindiana.com/ABZA. In case anyone needs the phone-in information, our call-in number is 312-626-6799. The meeting ID is 923-7371-7892, and the password is 712-845. We will be muting people calling in or using Zoom video until the public hearing is opened. When on the phone, please use *9 to raise your hand. To use the raise hand feature to be called on, and use *6 to unmute. To use the raise hand feature on Zoom video, you can either click the controls, which is click reactions at the bottom of your screen, or on the little raised hand in the upper right corner of your screen. If you have two computer video windows open or have a phone line active with a video window open at the same time, you will create an echo effect, making hearing you impossible. Please choose one option only. In consultation with the St. Joseph County Department of Health, the following protocols will be in place for all meetings held in the council chambers. Face coverings will be required for everyone in the chambers, including board members, presenters, petitioners, and members of the public. Regarding public comment, we will first ask for any public comment from those sitting in the chambers and then in the auxiliary seating in the building. Once those in person have provided their comment, those calling into the meeting remotely will be given the opportunity to provide public comment. Those wishing to provide public comment in person should line up on the footprint stickers on the floor leading up to the podium. Hand sanitizer has been placed next to the podium. We ask that you sanitize your hands after you leave the podium area. Signage sheets for public comment have been removed to prevent anyone or everyone touching the same pen. For this reason, please clearly state your name and address, and this would include both in person and anyone on the Zoom session. Please state your name and address for the record. Please do not be surprised if you are asked to spell your name for the record. Your speaking time will not start until after that is completed. We appreciate your compliance with these guidelines and your patience as we navigate these unprecedented times. Due to wearing face coverings and for the benefit of people listening over the phone, we ask that board members state their name when making a motion and a second. Lastly, please silence your cell phone so that you do not disturb the meeting. And per resolution number R5C2021, which was approved on February 16, 2020 by the Board of Commissioners, during portions of a meeting where public participation is allowed or required during a public hearing or privilege of the floor, if such is offered, the participating member of the public will have their microphone and camera, if any, turned on. If a member of the public wishes to participate in this portion of the meeting, they should indicate this by using the raise hand function in Zoom or by messaging the host in the chat function. Members of the governing board will have their cameras and microphones turned on during participation. So if you're a board member, you will have your camera and your microphone on. Sam has control of that. If you are a member of the public that is here to either make a petition or participate in a petition or have public comment, you'll be muted until you raise your hand in the Zoom function or *9 on the phone. Did I miss anything?
What was that first paragraph?
Don't start. All right. Could we have a roll call, please, Sam?
Ms. Deutscher.
Present.
Mr. Hawley. Mr. Moffett.
Present.
Mr. Ritzema.
He raised his hand.
Present.
Mr. Schaefer. Mr. Urbanski. You're here.
Are you here?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm looking to.
That's okay. Mr. Vellman.
Here. Before we begin the public hearings, we do have a small ceremony we'd like to present. Mr. Kostelny is here to, Mr. Urbanski, who has been a longstanding member of this board, is choosing to retire after this meeting. Mr. Kostelny?
Thank you, Andy Castellani, President of the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners with offices on the 7th floor of the County City Building. Seeing how this is Mr. Urbanski's final meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals, I felt it fitting that I come and at least say a couple of words. Mike has been a friend of my family for as long as I've had a family. He was best friends with my father-in-law, Hank Kolchis, who was a longtime serving member of the St. Joseph County Council. And in fact, it was after Hank passed away while in office that Mike suggested to me that I take his place and fill out his term, which I did, and I'm very grateful for it. So I guess that kind of got me started in my passion for county government. So for all those individuals who are unhappy with anything I did or didn't do, I guess it's Mike's fault. So we can blame Mike for that, one way or the other. It's a bittersweet day for sure. Mike has spent his lifetime. Mike, how many years have you been on the Board of Zoning Appeals?
More close to 25.
Yeah. So for a quarter of a century, Mike has helped kind of govern and dictate development that happens in St. Joseph County to make sure it's done responsibly, but with common sense factored in as well. Mike is simply a man of great integrity, compassion, and commitment, and not just here at the BZA, but other things that he's done to make his community a better place, and for that we're very grateful. Even though Mike is kind of stepping back a little bit in some of his responsibilities, thankfully he is committed to being our representative on the healthman board. So at a meeting in April, the Board of Commissioners will formally put Mike Urbanski on the healthman board, which I know that's another area that Mike has had a great passion and spent a great deal of time there helping the citizens and the residents at Healthman, so I think this will be a great fit. So right now, on behalf of every citizen of St. Joseph County, I'd like to bestow on Mike the highest award that we can give any citizen as county government, and that is a key to St. Joseph County for a lifetime, it's not over yet, but a lifetime to date of service to the citizens of St. Joseph County. On behalf of all of us, we thank you, Mike, for everything that you've done.
Thank you, brother.
Not sure what the key goes to, but there's also a small rental fee that you'll be getting that soon enough in the mail.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me interrupt your meeting as well.
You're welcome. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I think that opens the corridor off 331.
Andy, I thought you wanted a picture.
What's that?
Picture? I can do
They
it.
want to take your picture.
Okay. Here, one more.
One last thing before we do start the meeting and get into it. This is a 7-member board. We are currently have 5 members in attendance, I think, if I'm going through and look at everyone. 5 members in attendance. So your petition has to at least get 4 votes one way or another, either for or against approval or denial of the petition. So it's not a 3-2 since there's only 5. It does have to have at least 4 votes for the petition to be voted upon. If you would like to wait until we have a full board or a more full board that would improve your chances, you can ask for your petition to be tabled. If not, we can just proceed with your petitions. So that being said, can we have the reading of petition number 1?
The petition of David and Janet Lehman Revocable Trust seeking the following variances. 1, from section 154.152C3, the minimum required rear building setback of 40 feet to 37 feet for an existing office building on a lot in a proposed subdivision. And 2, from section 154.152D3, the minimum required rear parking area setback of 20 feet to 0 feet for an existing parking area crossing the lot line in a proposed subdivision. Property located at 16085 Jackson Road, Penn Township, Zoned O, Office District, County.
Mr. Sean, would you have any comments on that?
Yes, I do. Good afternoon. This is Sean Klein with Area Plan Commission staff. I just want to remind everyone that there are 3 criteria found in state law which dictate whether a variance should be granted. A variance petition must meet these 3 criteria in order for it to be granted. The approval may not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance may not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And the strict applications of the terms of the chapter must result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. For the present variance petition, we find that these 3 criteria are met. The petitioner is simply seeking to subdivide a lot that currently contains 2 existing office buildings while retaining those buildings. So these rear setback variances are essentially needed just based on the location of the buildings and the fact that the parking area is now going to be shared between the 2 future lots. This won't affect the use and value of the area adjacent because it's essentially the existing use. It's just going to be on 2 lots rather than 1. We find that strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance would not allow for a subdivision of a lot in this existing office park, which potentially is beneficial to the use and value of the property and does not adversely affect surrounding properties in any conceivable way.
Very good. Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Terry?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, if you could get in a bad echo, if there's one or the other that you could turn off, that would be great.
Okay.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the petition?
Yes, thank you very much, staff, for working with us on this project. As mentioned, these are existing buildings.
Ms. Welch, you are very muffled. We can't hear anything you're saying, unfortunately.
Um,
Ain't technology.
Is it not no, that's worse. I was not able to hear you on my computer. So I had to call in, so I don't know if that's the problem.
Apparently, we're having technical difficulties because we cannot make out anything you're saying, unfortunately. We hear you, we just can't understand what you're saying.
Okay.
The dilemma is it on our side or her side?
Her side,
Her side? Okay.
as far as I know.
Should we calling in separately, maybe?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect, yes.
Okay, I can't hear you at all. So I'm going to talk and hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we
That,
can.
I had to have the phone on because I couldn't hear you otherwise.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say thank you to the staff for working with us on this. As mentioned, these are existing buildings being separately used by separate businesses in this subdivision process that required this variance request is to divide those so they could be separately used, separately owned in the future. The shared parking will continue, and the southern building is encroaching about 3 feet into the new setback. And so those are the 2 requests, and I appreciate your support and can't really answer any questions unless if someone wants to type them to me.
We can, well, she can't hear me, so it doesn't matter. Yes, we can chat with her.
I'll type it.
We can chat with her, okay. Tell her thank you, I guess. Any questions from the board for the petitioner? I guess since she can't hear us, Sean, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
2, 3, and 4 are already existing lots, correct?
Correct.
So they're just taking 1 and making it 1A, 1B,
Exactly.
moving the line and being done with it.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Deutscher or Mr. Ritzman, any questions from you?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. With that, the public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition? Please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions from the board, or I will entertain a motion?
Make a motion to accept as presented.
Donnie Ritzman, second.
We have a motion and a second. Sam, would you call for the vote, please?
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes. Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds the variance is granted and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you for your time. She can't hear me, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, you might chat her and let her know that she got approved.
After I read this.
Can we have the reading of petition number 2, please?
The petition of R&T Land Holdings LLC, Shady Lane Farms, seeking the following variance from section 154.515G from the minimum required first 50 feet of paved driveway to no pavement for a driveway to a solar energy system located at an unaddressed property of 51 acres located south of the southerly terminus of Olive Road, approximately 1,000 feet south of the intersection of Olive Road and Crumstown Highway, Zoned A, Agricultural District, County.
Yes, Ryan.
Yes, this is Ryan Fellows with Area Plan Commission offices on the 11th floor. This is kind of our first, I think this is our first anyway, of the solar ordinance being tested at the Area Board of Zoning Appeals level. When originally written, the thought was going to be that solar facilities would be large industrial power level energy plants, and so the rule was written so that with all the traffic coming and going from like a power plant level, that would be a part of pavement right before the road, so all the dirt and dust would have a chance to settle from the car tires. In this instance, each of these next 6 petitions all are requesting the same variance, and then there's some of them that have setback variances, which I'll discuss later. But for this one, the way that, our solar ordinance is a relatively new ordinance. We were the first county in the state to adopt a solar ordinance, so we're kind of learning the ins and outs of how it's working functionally. And we've consulted with the county engineer, and he is okay with all of the variances as proposed in the staff report as provided. Later, I'll go into details for the setback ones, but for all of them related to the paved driveway next to the road, he's okay with all of these, as the traffic is expected to be light and not that much different than the farm traffic that's normally generated. For this particular facility, this is just for the farm equipment for the mint still, and the petitioner will be available to talk more about that. But this property in particular is a ways away from the road, at least 1,000 feet away from the paved road. And so it really doesn't make sense to pave a strip at the edge of the property just to have a dirt path for another 1,000 feet before the pavement starts back up again. So, Sam, I'm going to ask you to click onto the screen and I can go forward. So there we go. All of the site plans have this kind of same look, and here's a picture of the property. This is the end of Olive Road, and then the actual property line doesn't start until another 1,000 feet after this point. And then here's a picture of the aerial, the bird's eye view, where you can see the end of Olive is right here, and then you continue another 1,000 feet of dirt road before you get to the property, which is over here. So you've got Crumbstown Highway, and then this is Olive Road right here. So, and this is what's being proposed for agenda item number 2, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or turn it over to the petitioner if you have questions for them.
So just to clarify in my mind, so the intent of the ordinance when written by the county was to address situations like the large solar farm going up on Cleveland Road with the joint venture between AEP and Notre Dame, correct?
Correct.
Where they would need regular maintenance, things have to be taken care of, there's probably somebody there every day. This is a much smaller operation, much lower kilowatts, so there's no, and not as much traffic is what it boils down to.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure I understand the situation. Okay. Let's see here. Is the petitioner here? And raise your hand, please, so Sam knows who to unmute.
It's AG Technologies.
AG Technologies, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, this is Jim Strader with Ag Technologies. We are the solar developer. Doug Mathis is on this meeting as well as the property owner, farm owner. I want to thank Ryan and the staff for cooperation on all of these items here today. So
Oh, it's okay. I thought it was.
It was leaning up against my snowboard.
I got that. 'Cause there was a.
Donnie had some background noise. Muted himself.
Is there anything you'd like to add to your petition?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
okay, no, the petition is what it is, and correct that we don't have the amount of traffic that maybe was envisioned with the ordinance. So we're thankful for the consideration and ask for approval as recommended. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for the petitioner from the board? All right, the public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition, please raise your hand.
Robert?
Hi, thank you for the time. My name's Robert Gay. I live down Olive Road. Question is the traffic for construction coming down Olive Road to that dead end to build?
We will have the petitioner come back on after the public portion is now, or when the public portion is closed to answer that question. So we will have that answer for you shortly. Is there any other questions you had that you'd like them to address?
What about this corner right here?
Like the size of the road, because coming off of Crumbstown is Gordon and then it rounds into Olive. Are they doing any sort of improvement on the road to widen the road? There's trash trucks that come down our road that have problems at the corner. So that's why my question is the construction going to take place at the end of Olive Road where it starts a dirt road? And, what kind of traffic are we looking? And also what type of, I guess, there going to be any sort of, not so much improvements, but will it devalue the property values in our area?
Okay, so you want to know what, if construction is going to be, construction traffic coming down Olive, what kind of construction traffic is it? Is it going to be big cement trucks, or are you just talking pickup trucks? And then the value of the property after it is taken care of.
The time frame.
And pretty much time frame as well, please.
Time frame.
Okay,
Thank you.
so like time frame meaning completion or start to completion?
Yeah, start to finish, please.
Okay. Those are all questions that we will get answered after the public portion. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Hearing none, the public portion is now closed. I would bring back AG Technologies to answer the questions from Mr. Gay about what construction traffic and how it will be accessing the site, if please.
Joe, Douglas Mathis also said he's representing R&T Land Holdings and can answer questions. If you see
Great.
the.
Anyone that'd like to answer the questions of Mr. Gay, that would be great if we can get that taken care of.
Yeah, yes, this is Jim Strader. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So the construction will take at the most 2 days. The equipment is a skid steer loader. It's on a tag-along trailer. The solar components would be on a tag-along trailer as well. So our equipment is smaller than what is used in a farm operation to come down the road in 2 days. Weather aside is all it takes to do this.
But you'll be accessing the site right directly from Olive Road, which is one of his questions, I assume?
Yes, we'll be going in the normal farm entrance, yes.
So wherever the farmer utilizes for access to that site, you'll be using that same access. You'll be accessing it with pickup trucks and somewhat of a flatbed trailer for your skid steer and any type of other applicable products coming in then.
Correct.
Okay. No big cement trucks, no other type of things that those have to deal with?
That's true.
Okay. So you'll have a cement truck, but that's still big, that's still smaller than a farm product, I would guess.
We do not use cement.
Okay, and I think Mr. Gay was getting, so 2 days for construction, so saying because of barring any other type of delays, 5 days. I think what his time frame might have been is when will it start, when will it be completed potentially?
So there are a number of sites for R&T land holdings, and we would start next week. Probably start on this site, maybe even first, so probably next week.
Okay. So these are pretty quick builds. You have a time frame for what, six total sites, if I'm not mistaken? 7? 2 to 7. Okay, I have 6.
Yeah, so a total of 2 weeks for everything would be the normal.
Okay. And you're not going to be accessing it with big, excavators or backhoes or anything like that. It's just going to be a skid steer, which everyone, I don't know, or bobcat for lack of a better term on the size of product that you're going to be using.
That is correct.
Okay. All right.
Joe, I don't know if the petitioner is able to answer, but there is also a question about property values.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. We don't really have a resource for what it would do to property values in the area, I guess. Mr. Moffett, would you have any answer to that? No?
I don't know if the petitioner would be able to speak to that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
So we've had a number of properties that have solar on them that have changed hands, and solar is always a positive impact on the property value simply because it generates electricity and that offsets a real cost that a business or a home might have. So it's positive. We don't do large systems, so there's not a visible objection typically to what we do.
And it's hard for me to tell on the site plans and the information we have at site, the location of where the solar panels are going to be going into relation to any homes in the area would be a guesstimate on your part of how many feet away or anything like that.
It's going to be some distance. I'm not familiar enough with the adjoining properties to offer a better answer than that. But the solar arrays at most in winter setting are 13 feet high.
Oh.
And each of these arrays is only 45 feet long. So, the impact on the entire property is absolutely minimal.
Okay. 13 high by 45 wide. That's interesting. Just trying to envision that in my head. Okay. So we don't really have a great answer on that, but as we do know, solar is becoming more and more the norm. So that is going to be obviously a consideration along the way. So.
I think Douglas would like to add something.
Mr. Mathis.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just to answer the question, in terms of traffic going down Olive Road, it's the location we're putting these up at is our mint distillation building, and the reason we are looking at this is the net zero our electric use out there, and this was all started through a sustainable grant through the Wrigley Mars Corporation, where we were able to get some funds, grant money, to provide net zero or more sustainable energy efficient ways to produce the commodity that we grow, which is spearmint and peppermint oil. So the operation and the building and the construction would all go through the main farm lane, which you're looking at right down through the middle of the property. And we, except for maybe 40 acres we farm to the east of us off of Olive Road, we really do not access Olive Road to go to the mint still at any time. We try to use our main farm lane as at most of the time. So any of the concerns about traffic or vehicles going back there, once the solar arrays are built, unless there's a problem, would be a pickup truck going back to look at it, or a vehicle. But there really is no heavy, as Jim pointed out, no heavy construction equipment or anything of the such that would be going back there. And all traffic would come through our main farm driveway, as we have done previously with any of our mint harvests, or anytime we access those buildings.
In relation to the picture we're looking at on the screen right now, that obviously is all of your farm, the buildings there. Is the array going to be pretty close to those, or so it'll kind of blend in with the rest of the buildings?
Yeah, that is correct. The arrays will go basically to the east of the existing buildings, about 250 foot. It is an area that we do not farm, that is not irrigated. And we basically allow equipment, trailers, trucks and such to sit there. So the arrays, as Jim said, are 13 feet tall by 45 foot. So it would really be no different than a trailer or a tractor or a piece of implement sitting there, which we currently have. So that they would just be ground based, and then that's where those 3 arrays will be sitting then.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much. Any other questions from the board for the petitioner?
Could you just explain really quick that the public's only allowed to speak during the public hearing portion?
Yeah, so since the public portion is now closed, there is no other questions or comments from the public. That's only done during when we open it and then close it, unfortunately. So I apologize if you weren't able to get your question answered, but that is only open one time. So if there's no additional comments or questions from the board, I will entertain a motion. So we're basically asking for no 50 foot of driveway to lead into this facility.
Donnie Ritz, want to make motion to accept as written?
This is Christine Deutscher. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Veltman?
Yes, based on testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, find the variance granted and will issue and finding the facts. Can I have the reading of petition number 3, please?
The petition of R&T Land Holdings LLC, Shady Lane Farms, seeking the following variances. 1, from section 154.515G, the minimum required first 50 feet of paved driveway to no pavement for a driveway to a solar energy system. And 2, from section 154.515C, reducing front yard setback from the minimum 75 feet to 30 feet, located at an unaddressed property of 113 acres located southeast of the intersection of Johnson Road and Crumstown Highway, Zoned A, Agricultural District, County.
Any additional things you wanted to comment on this one?
Yeah, if I could, there we go. This is a property that is along Crumstown Highway, just on the southeast corner of where Johnson Road intersects with Crumstown. This is for 2 facilities. One is to power the irrigation system, and the second one is to power their grain bins. I'm going to flip on the screen kind of back and forth, and you can kind of see they're very close to each other, but it's a little difficult to notice where each of them are, but they're both in relation to these grain bins as shown on the screen. When the day I was out there, it was pretty snowy, so you can't really see a whole lot. But I tried to use this bird's eye view to give you a better picture. And the intention is to have the facility for the solar facilities, one on the side and one down here. And right here is Crumstown Highway. It has a dedicated right-of-way that already exists. And they're asking for 30 feet of setback, 30 feet from the edge of the right-of-way, is a little bit closer than what we would like to see. We are recommending a compromise of 35 feet instead of the 75 feet. The 75-foot rule was construed with the idea that we'd be measuring from the center line of the road, and for many agricultural properties, you're starting from the center line, and that's why the 75-foot was offered for the agricultural district for the front line setback. In this instance, because Crumpstown Highway's already been dedicated, we're not really starting from the center line, so it does make sense. And if you look at how far it is from the center line to the edge of right-of-way, and then you add in 35 feet, then you get to an equivalent of 75 feet, which meets the intention of the code, if not the exact wording. And so that is a proposal of 5-foot difference, but we believe that it's a fair proposal. And we talked with the petitioner before this meeting, and they sounded like they were agreeable to it. But I'll let the petitioner speak for themselves to say how they feel.
All right. Representative from AG Technologies or Ag Technologies?
Yes, so that is correct. We had discussion on this, and with the recommendation for the 35 feet, we can reconfigure the solar system, make that work. I'll let Doug confirm that, but that's that should work.
So on this petition, with the aerial we're looking at currently, the solar array is going to kind of be in that little triangular shaped area to the left of the silos, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so that 35 feet then gets us past that right away and into the 75 foot that we're always been looking for. Okay.
Correct.
And then you're also asking to not have to pave the first 50 feet, which makes sense because it's farmland. So, got it. Anything else you'd like to add to this petition?
Not for me, if Doug has any comment.
Mr. Mathis?
No, the area there that we're looking at just to the left of the grain bins and the building is a flat land area, so we have plenty of room to adjust to the, I think it's the 35-foot variance that was suggested by the staff. So we're good.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions for the petitioner from the board? All right.
I have a question for staff, actually.
Yeah,
I
go
think
right
it's
ahead, Doc.
appropriate for the staff. This is Donnie Ritzma. So this is the second case that's in regards to a solar energy farm. Is there any, in the new St. Joe County ordinance, language in there for landscaping requirements or consideration for like the new pollinator gardens?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, this is the county ordinance, which was recently adopted about, I guess, getting close to a year ago now, so I guess it's not quite as recent, but it does include the pollinator-friendly seed mix, and that was discussed with the petitioner beforehand, and they are not requesting any variances from that. I did explain that, often when we have site improvements where there's structures being built, we would require landscaping, which would often be things like shade trees, and obviously shade trees plus solar panel is not good. So this was kind of, this pollinator-friendly seed mix was kind of in lieu of that. And that made sense to them that if we're not going to ask for shade trees, we could ask for a pollinator seed mix. And that's what the code requires, and they're agreeable to that.
Great. That's what I thought, but just wanted to make sure or double check.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. With that, the public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions, or is there a motion? So the motion will have to read with the revised 35 feet.
The revised 35, the way I would suggest phrasing it would be to approve as amended, as suggested by staff.
Okay.
And agreed to by the petitioner.
I need to write that down. It's a lot of words. Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to
Donnie
approve.
Ritzma, I'll make motion to approve as amended by the staff and recommended by the petitioner.
That works.
That works.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds these variances granted and will issue written findings of the facts. We have the reading of petition number 4, please.
The petition of R&T Land Holdings LLC Shady Lane Farms seeking the following variance from section 154.515G from the minimum required first 50 feet of paved driveway to no pavement for a driveway to a solar energy system. Property located at 57706 Crumbstown Highway, Zoned R, Single Family District, County.
Yes, Ryan.
Okay, this is the property that's up next to Crumbstown Highway. This is very close to the first petition, agenda item number 2. I used a Google Street View because it was just too snowy to see anything on this property, but this is where the right side of the screen is Crumbstown Highway. You have a short stub of pine, and then it turns off to a side road there, Gordon, which then continues on as Olive Road. And there already is kind of that paved area right immediately next to Crumbstown Highway. And there's an aerial of that same location. So here's Crumbstown Highway. Here is a short segment of pine, which continues to the north right there. There's a short continuation of Gordon, which then turns down to Olive right here. So it's kind of an interesting loop around there, but the edge of the property is right here. This is where the driveway would be located. The actual improvement is going to be way off the screen in the bottom left corner of where the screen is, down, I don't have the exact feet in front of me, but probably over 1,000 feet down in that neighborhood anyway. So this is paved right along in here, and this is where the driveway is. And so this is the area we're talking about. Similarly to the previous petitions, this is just going to be for the grain dryers, so it's just for farm equipment. This is not meant to be a whole power plant equivalent. And I'll let the petitioner add any additional information, and I can answer any questions as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is Jim Strader with Ag Technologies. Of course, same situation, nominal impact on the entire property, not a visible matter, 13 feet high and out of the way. So we'll use very light equipment, pickup truck and a ton service truck in a couple of days and we're out of there. So no traffic issue with solar.
Very good. Any questions from the board for the petitioner? All right, thank you, sir. Public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition, please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions from the board, or I will entertain a motion. And this is just the 50-foot.
Donnie Ritzma, I'll make a motion to approve as written.
Motion, is there a second?
Christine Deutscher, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds this variance granted and will issue written findings of the facts. Reading of petition number 5, please.
The petition of R&T Land Holdings LLC Shady Lane Farms seeking the following variances. One, from section 154.515G, from the minimum required first 50 feet of paved driveway to no pavement for a driveway to a solar energy system. And two, from section 154.515C, the minimum required front setback of 75 feet to 20 feet for a solar energy system located at an unaddressed property of 46 acres located on the south side of Jackson Road, immediately southwest of the intersection of Jackson Road and Quince Road, zoned A, agricultural district, county.
All right.
Okay, this is similar to the previous petitions. There's the site plan, but I'll focus in. Here's what it looked like when I visited the site on Friday. I think it was Friday, one of these days. And here's kind of the aerial of the area we're talking about. There's a grain bin right here. This is an instance where the property line actually goes through the center line of the road. And this is another instance where you just kind of have a dirt track leading to the road. But again, because of the small amount of overall use compared to an industrial scale power plant level, this is going to be deemed sufficient by staff. And the application was for a 20-foot setback. Now, 20 feet from the center line of the road isn't very far off from the road. I consulted with the petitioner and explained, sometimes there's a dedicated right-of-way, sometimes there's not. This is one of those times where there's not. And we discussed that if we could get from the center line of the road 45 foot back, that would meet the needs of the county, and it's been consulted with the county engineer's office, and it would meet their needs, and it was discussed with the petitioner, and that compromise was agreeable to them, which I'll let them opine for themselves. But we're recommending a 45-foot setback from center line as meeting our needs and meeting the needs of the code, if not in word, but at least in intention for if there were to be a dedicated right-of-way in the future, it would be only a smaller dedicated right-of-way, and this would be an appropriate distance for that.
Okay. Any questions for the staff? All right. Ag Technologies, you're up again.
Yeah, thank you. And that is correct. We had conversations on this with Mr. Mathis and staff. So appreciate the information, and everything, and we are okay with the recommendation of the staff on this matter.
Okay. So 50-foot of road again, and then from the 20-foot requested to 45 feet because of, I never knew that a property line go all the way in the middle of a road.
Yeah, property lines actually originally started to the center line of the road for most agricultural, the countryside that's not in a incorporated city. And then as time goes on, whenever there's a subdivision and the road is dedicated at that time, the public has always had a right to the paved area as the right-of-way, quote unquote. And then if there was going to be a need for like a drainage ditch or something, then the county would have to approach the property owner and get an agreement, whether that's through buying a strip of land or negotiating an easement, or through a public dedication process where a set amount, and sometimes that set amount is 20 feet from center line, sometimes it's 30 feet. The distances vary quite a bit based on circumstance and the needs.
Okay, great. Any questions for the petitioner? All right. The public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition, please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments or questions from the board, or we entertain a motion? This would be just like motion number 3, if they, since they have modified or amended their petition to 45 feet.
Motion to approve as presented with the 45-foot variance.
So as amended,
As recommended by staff. By staff and agreed to by petitioner. Correct?
Correct.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds these variances granted and will issue a finding of the facts. We have the reading of petition number 6, please.
The petition of R&T Land Holdings LLC, Shady Lane Farms, seeking the following variances. One, from section 154.515G, the minimum required first 50 feet of paved driveway to no pavement for a driveway to a solar energy system. And two, from section 154.515C, the minimum required front setback of 75 feet to 20 feet for a solar energy system. Property located at 59251 Peach Road, Zoned A, Agricultural District, County.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very similar to the previous situation. Just going through the slides, this is a picture of it, how it was last week, or earlier, I guess, whenever it was. Recently. This is the Peach Road right here. There's a farm lane off from it, same kind of paving conditions and low use as anticipated. The edge of where the right-of-way ends is actually right at the edge of where, right at the end of where the pavement is right here. And so this ditch is actually not in a dedicated right-of-way. And so if you just had it 20 feet from the edge of that, then it's just going to take you at the edge of the bank right here. And so we looked at this, and we're recommending that. I know it's just an additional 5 feet, but when you look at, you know, what the situation is, we're requesting that you do that compromise, and that was discussed with the petitioner, and I understand that they're agreeable to that. And so this would be, instead of 20 feet back, it would be 25 feet back.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for staff? All right. AG Technologies. Is it AG or AG?
Absolutely correct. You know, it's a minimal different situation than we'd asked for, but not a problem. We can comply and appreciate the help of the staff.
Okay. Any questions for the petitioner? With that, the public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition, please raise your hand. I feel like I'm in school. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions from the board? I will entertain a motion, which again, this is just like the last one, amended to 25 feet and agreed to by the petitioner.
This is Donnie Ritzma. I will make motion to approve as amended by staff to 25 feet as opposed to 20 feet and approved by the petitioner.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Sorry, someone was chatting. Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes. Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds these variances granted and will issue written findings of the facts. Can we have the reading of petition number 7, please?
The petition of R&T Land Holdings LLC, Shady Lane Farms, seeking the following variances. One, from section 154.515G, the minimum required first 50 feet of paved driveway to no pavement for a driveway to a solar energy system. And two, from section 154.515C, from the minimum required front setback of 75 feet to 30 feet for a solar energy system. Property located at 57217 Rush Road, Zoned A, Agricultural District, County.
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay. This site is a little further out than some of the other sites, but it is, here we go, there's the slide for the site plan. Here's a picture of the site. And this house that is in front of you is a neighboring property. It is not the petitioner's property. The petitioner's property is on the screen or our side of that tree line. There is a driveway. You can't see it too easily from with the snow right there, but there is a driveway right there. And behind this house is where this energy system is meant to go. So here is the neighboring property, which is not the petitioner's property. Here is the driveway, that farm lane that's right here, accessing the road along here. So along that property, and then comes just back to this area right here, which is where the improvement will be. So this is a relatively short distance for traffic to go. It is also similarly a low impact for the number of vehicles to access it, since it is a small facility. And so the same reasoning is being applied for the lack of a need for the pavement. In this instance, because this is a property line that is parallel to the road, and it's nearer to the road than the opposite property line, which is way off the screen, this is, in our code book, counts as a front property line, and the front property setback of 75 feet would push it way back here, which is way ways from the road. And if this were a side property line, then it would only be required to be 30 feet back. And so the petitioner has asked for 30 feet, and so we would be okay with that, because that, if you were to construe it as a side property line, that would be appropriate distance for the code book. Even if it doesn't mean it in words, it does meet the intention. And so we are agreeable to it as presented, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from board for staff? All right. AG Holdings or Technologies?
Yeah, so we're fine. We appreciate the consideration on all of these and the committee's consideration of the real issues here and approvals that have been granted. So this one, like the others, will not have an impact on the property. It is a minimal system, and we'll get it in a day's time, and there won't be any traffic issues with construction or post-construction. So thanks again, everybody, for your help.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any additional questions from the board for the petitioner? Being none, the public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in approval of this or have questions about this, please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions from the board, or I will entertain a motion for a 50-foot, not having to pave a driveway, and 30-foot instead of 75 for what is technically a side setback realistically. It's not, but
Yeah.
it is.
This is Christine Deutscher. A motion to approve.
Donnie Ritzman, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful considerations, finds these variances granted and will issue it in findings of the facts. Thank you, everyone, for your time on those. Appreciate that. Can we have the reading of petition number 8, please?
The petition of Howard J. and Lynn Ann Halstead seeking the following variance, one from section 154.107B, the minimum required lot width of 100 feet to 21 feet for a lot in a proposed subdivision. Property located at 52600 Hickory Road, Clay Township, zoned R, single family district, county.
Sean, I believe this one's yours.
Yeah, this is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So this variance will essentially allow the property owner of this interestingly shaped lot to eliminate the somewhat absurd little bump out towards the south along the street. And there are multiple reasons why the zoning ordinance requires a 100-foot of lot width, including to provide adequate space for septic, to promote visibility from the street for emergency vehicles, and, just to protect neighborhood character. In this case, though, the present situation we find isn't really serving any of those purposes. So we find that granting the variance would not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. It's not going to affect the use and value of any properties beyond the two that will be parties to the subdivision that will follow this variance being granted. And the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance would not allow for a more logically shaped parcel, which could prevent confusion amongst neighbors in the future as to where the property line is.
And then Sean, this is Abby Wiles, Area Plan Commission staff. Just want to note that presently it doesn't meet the terms of the zoning ordinance
That is correct.
because it isn't the full width back far enough from the property line.
Right, because they go from the 100 down to
Correct.
like 10 feet and then back out.
Correct.
And this is doing nothing but just moving the lot line, they're not adding anything, they're not changing anything, we're just, the way it's structured inside of a plat, if somebody came out and surveyed it, would be different.
Exactly.
Any questions from the board for
So it's
Ryan?
not gonna be buildable
Well, it's already built, it's already got a house on it.
here.
No, yeah, that wouldn't be buildable. Because that doesn't change. Yeah, this does not create another buildable lot, correct?
No, there's already a house built on both lots. So.
Yeah,
Back in the woods, and
Yeah, there's one back there. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Is our petitioner on the line today?
Yeah, Terry Lang from Lang, Feeney and Associates, address 715 South Michigan Street in South Bend. The staff has indicated exactly correct to the petition before you. We are adjusting the property line to follow the existing fence that's located parallel to the driveway there. And I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Okay, so we lost you, Terry, we lost you after the fence by the driveway. So I'm not sure what you said after that. Sorry.
What I meant to say there was that the property line is being adjusted to run parallel to the existing fence that's out there, instead of having that little finger stick out along the roadway, as the staff had indicated.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Lang from the board? All right. Thank you, Mr. Lang. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Mike?
like I said, at 10 foot, would that suffice for fire trucks or large emergency vehicles?
There,
Terry?
the roadway area there where the driveway is, we're providing a sufficient, if the staff would click back to the plat page, you can see that the variance that we're asking for is 32 foot is the width of the new lot line, which is sufficient roadway area for fire and emergency vehicles to get in.
32 feet?
It's 21 now, correct, Terry?
Shows 21 here.
Look on the detail there at the bottom. You'll see it shows that Lot A will have 32.85 feet of frontage.
Okay. I see that in the, yeah, I see that in the detail. The petition, yeah, it's interesting, it shows 21.06, but the detail is 32.85 technically.
Correct.
Okay, so do we have to amend the petition to 32.85?
I mean, he's asked for 20.
You've asked for 21.
Does he want to stay at 21 on the petition? I mean, he doesn't have to agree with
Leave it as presented then. The
Okay.
plat is drawn as what the property owner is looking for, but the variance can be as presented.
So they're asking for 21 feet, so, yeah, the driveway may be 10, but they're asking for 21 feet, but technically gonna give them 32. Okay. Any other question for Mr. Lang? You okay with that?
Well, and just one additional thing to add. This will go through the subdivision process, correct?
Yes,
So the fire department will have the opportunity to review at that time
correct.
Okay,
and for fire access.
that'll be clay fire at that point, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And actually, I do see
Yeah, Dave's on.
Dave Sharon on the meeting as well.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Lang, appreciate your time. The public
Thank you.
portion is now open. Anyone, I'm sorry, what's wrong, Abby?
Oh, I thought someone started to speak.
Oh,
I think Terry just said thank you.
Okay.
technology. The public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition?
We got one. Shelley has a question for clarification on number 8.
Okay, Shelley, you can ask that question, and then Mr. Lang will come back after the public portion is closed to clarify, unless we can.
Hello, this is Shelley Cowling.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Hi, I live in Hidden Valley Estates, just south of this property. This is my first time to deal with anything like this, so I just want to be sure that I understand correctly what this petition is for, because I see the word subdivision on this document. So I just want to clarify that no additional homes are going in here. This is simply adjusting a property line.
That is correct, yes. It is already 2 built-on lots that will not create any new lots to be built on. They're just moving the property line to get the weird little jut out that used to be a 100-foot requirement. No one apparently at that time asked for the variance, and now they are asking for the variance to go below 100, so.
Perfect. Thank you for your clarification. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Mhm.
Did I explain that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I know some stuff. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition? Please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions for the board, or we will entertain a motion?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a
This is
motion.
Christine Deutscher. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Sam, would you please call for the vote?
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, the Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds variance granted and will issue it in findings of facts. Thank you, Mr. Lang.
Thank you.
Can we have the reading of petition number 9, please?
The petition of University of Notre Dame seeking the following variance from section 154.277C1, the minimum required front setback of 25 feet to 22 feet from the effective Eddy Street right-of-way for a new university building. Property located at the northeast corner of Angela Boulevard and Eddy Street, Zoned U, University District, County.
You again, Ryan?
Yeah, just some brief background on basically how we got here today. In 2019, there was a text amendment to the zoning ordinance which applied the front setback requirements to private rights-of-way. That's equivalent to what's applied to a public right-of-way. When this was done, it was mainly residential subdivisions that were being considered. Staff at the time really didn't consider what this would do when it was applied to these interior private rights-of-way within the university district. In this case, it was going to require a setback which would exceed the setback of all the other buildings along this section of Eddy Street, which is a private right-of-way. So towards that end, staff finds that approval of this variance would not be injurious to public health, safety, and morals. We see no public purpose in forcing a setback requirement on this property that would be similar to if it fronted an actual public right-of-way. In fact, we are in the process of drafting a text amendment to correct this oversight as applied to the university district. It will not affect the use and value of any properties outside of the university district and will allow for more consistent development within the campus itself. And strict application would actually not allow them to maintain this consistent setback from the Eddy Street right-of-way that is currently in place. And can answer any questions.
So you're saying unintended consequences?
Absolutely.
Is that the new museum?
It is.
Okay. Any questions for staff from the board? All right. Petitioner, if you'd raise your hand to be unmuted, please.
Is that Craig?
Craig Tiller and John Lloyd and Tim Sexton. One of the three, if not all.
You said John Lloyd?
So, this is Craig Tiller with Planning, Design, and Construction Department at the University of Notre Dame. Address 200 Facilities Building, Notre Dame, Indiana.
Welcome. Is there anything you'd like to add to your petition?
Nothing to add to the petition. Just want to make sure that I do mention gratitude to the Area Plan Commission staff, and specifically to Sean and Abby for their help in understanding the issue, navigating the issue, and getting to the point of the petition. So, greatly appreciate their help.
Okay. Any questions for the petitioner from board? Okay. Thank you very much. With that, the public portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or have questions about this petition, please raise your hand. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to, please raise your hand.
You might check the chat just in case. It normally pops up, yeah.
Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Any additional comments, questions from the board, or I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept as presented.
Daniel Ritzma, second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please?
Ms. Deutscher?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzema?
Yes.
Mr. Urbanski?
Yes.
Mr. Velleman?
Yes. Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, finds the variance granted and will issue written findings of facts. Thank you for your time. Thank you all for participating in today's meeting. I have in my binder a written finding of the facts from the February 10th, 2021 meeting. I would entertain a motion for approval with a second.
Make a motion to approve.
Daniel Ritzma, second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I also have a minutes from the February 10th, 2021 BZA meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve and second those, and an aye.
Christine Deutscher, I motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Daniel Ritzma, second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 I don't think we have any other business to discuss, except to thank Mr. Urbanski again for his service. Appreciate everything, and we'll miss you. Did you find your replacement yet?
Evidently not.
No, okay. All right.
May I make just a suggestion? There's several new members. Some I haven't met yet, unfortunately. But anyway, if you see something that comes up on it, which they still get a copy of it, don't they? If you see something that comes up, especially newer ones, take time and drive past it and take a look at it. Then when they come here, when you come to the meeting, you can better see what's explained at the meeting concerning that request on that property. But by taking a look at it, it makes a world of difference. I still do it now after 25 years, you know. It makes a big difference.
It does.
Thank you. I've enjoyed working here. Been with Joe for a long time here. 2 different stretches.
Yeah, 2 stretches.
So, but anyway.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn, or I make a motion to adjourn. I can do that.
You can.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Donnie, Christina, thank you so much for your time. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.